Hey everyone, I'm Rick and thanks for joining me. Today we'll be looking at the SMSL N100 streamer. And I'd like to thank A-Post Audio for loaning me this review sample. I'll have a link to this streamer below. This one has a lot of hit and misses, but here we go. Let's take a closer look. The first thing that I noticed when I opened the package was how well built this unit is. An all aluminum alloy chassis that feels super premium, similar to an Apple device. I love the little rubber feet on the bottom that keep this unit from sliding across any surface. On the front, the one thing that could have been done better in my opinion, the power button. It's super lightweight. They should have used a spring with more resistance to give it a more premium feel. It also has slight wobble. In the center at the bottom, there's also a small LED, and that LED will glow red when it's in standby mode, green when it's connected via LAN, and blue when it's connected via Wi-Fi. Onto the rear. From the left, USB 3 and USB 2, which are USB 2.0 ports for adding additional storage like a flash drive or a portable drive. Next, the Wi-Fi antenna port, and you do get this little stubby antenna, which I think is very cool, just out of the way. Then USB 1, which is a USB 3.0, and that's used for USB audio output. Next, the Ethernet LAN port, followed by the SPDIF outputs, Toslink optical, digital coax, and AES EBU. Finally, the IEC power port. You might have noticed the lack of analog outs. This is not a streaming DAC like the Eversolo or the WIMS. This is a streamer only, and it acts as a digital transport for your local music and or your streaming service, and over to your DAC or your integrated amplifier with a built-in DAC via a digital connection. On the software side, the N100 runs on Volumio, and for the N100's $419 asking price, you get Volumio premium features included, which if you're into Volumio, it's a great deal, as the yearly subscription would cost you around $80 and could pay for the N100 in about 5 years. Make sure to follow instructions closely though. It took me a while to understand that you don't have to install an instance of Volumio on your PC, as Volumio is pre-installed inside the N100 itself. And I just needed to install the Volumio app on my phone or tablet to control the software. It does take a while for initial setup, around 10 minutes, and boot up time takes around 2 minutes with a 15-second shutdown time. But if I own this unit, I most likely have it on continuously like I do with my Cambridge Audio 851N. I'm not a Volumio fan, but we'll get to that later. So here's how I listen to the N100. In my system, I have a small Beelink mini computer running Roon Core connected via Ethernet to an Asus router on the front side of my house. From there, I run Cat7 cable across to the den where I connect it to a second Asus router. And then I run Ethernet from that router over to the N100. Now these routers set up my mesh network. I connect all my TVs in the house via Ethernet as well, and I leave the Wi-Fi for laptops, tablets, smart switches, and security cameras. But back to the N100, I connected the N100 via both optical and USB over to my DAC, the SMSL DO200 Pro, and then over to my Jungsan preamp and over to my IOTA VX PA3 power amp. Initially, getting sound out of the N100 was a chore, but I'll give you some tips. To connect initially, install Volumio on your phone or your tablet, plug an Ethernet cable into the N100, turn off your phone's data so you're only connected via Wi-Fi, and make sure you're on the same network as the N100 is on. Then you should be able to find the N100 in the Volumio app. If this doesn't work, you can long press on the power button and that'll get you a white blinking LED. This tells you that the Wi-Fi hotspot is activated on the N100. From here you'll want to connect to that network, and at that point you can open up the Volumio app and find the N100. From there you can configure your Wi-Fi and settings. Again, it's a pain, but I suppose it's about the same as with a WIM or with a smart switch. So as for user experience, I think you know where I'm going with this one. Not fun at all. Volumio doesn't have native support for too many streaming services. You do get support for Tidal, Qobuz, and a service called Hi-Res Audio, which I'm unfamiliar with. I do use Tidal, so it wasn't an issue for me. But if you use something else, you'll be connecting to the N100 via AirPlay or Bluetooth. And at that point, there are some great less expensive options that even have a DAC included. The only reason I'd purchase a device like this over a Bluetooth receiver would be to stream high-res music and not be reliant on my phone having to be close to the receiver. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you might recall how much I really dislike false sales claims. Here we go again. The marketing material states, supports Roon. Roon. Support Roon. It doesn't. You can get Roon to send a stream over, but only through AirPlay. And Roon will find something in the Roon Ready catalog, but it comes up as a SMSL S100, and when I try to enable it, Roon tells me that the device can't be used because it isn't certified. What a letdown. My thing is, just be honest. Instead of saying Roon is supported, just say Roon coming soon, like Wim and Theo have done in the past. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't give me false expectations. Anyways, back to the user experience. One thing to note is that once you do get connected to the N100 within Volumio, and you go to the hamburger in the upper left corner, I don't know if they still call these hamburgers, maybe I'm dating myself. Here you'll find playback options and audio output. You'll see SPDIF, which will give you output on all three, Toslink, coaxial, and AES EBU, but you won't see USB unless the N100 detects a USB DAC plugged in. And in my case, the N100 only detected my DO200 Pro when its input was set to USB. So if you're having trouble connecting, make sure your DAC is set to USB input first. I do wish there was an option for all outputs on simultaneously, but there isn't, unfortunately. And sometimes when I change from SPDIF to USB, Volumio had to reboot, and that takes about 2 minutes, which is really a drag. Now, I don't have experience with Volumio, so I will ask you guys to leave a comment below and let me know if this is common behavior. Aside from that, Volumio is fine to navigate local files. It actually indexes very quickly, and it shows up cover art, and everything works pretty good. One thing that I don't like is how it arranges albums though. If I have an album where a few tracks have a featured artist, Volumio will make those tracks independent albums, whereas with Roon, it just bulks it up to the same album. And on some compilation albums, every track becomes an album itself. And when I press go to album, I only see the one song in that album. As for Title Connect, I had another nightmare of a time trying to figure this one out. In my Title app, I kept on seeing the N100 in the cast section, and when I would select the N100, it would show up the track playing, but no sound would come out. It turns out that you first have to go to Volumio, make sure you select the N100 first to activate it, then go back to Title, and then you can cast the track. Then it does work fine. I just wish they had a little better documentation. This could have made for a much better user experience. So for this tip, I think a like on this video is well earned. So please help me out, guys. But honestly, all of this is much easier on Wim, Aureolic, or anything using LegPlay. And as for the user experience, the StreamMagic software on my Cambridge A51N is much easier to use, quicker, and more responsive. On to the all-important sound quality. It sounds great, and I know this is a controversial topic, and I know some people believe that there are no differences in transports. And that's fine. I'll respect your opinion and your experience, so I ask that you please respect mine as well. I compared the N100 to the Wim Mini at 1/4 of its price, and to the Cambridge 851N at over 3 times its price, and the differences are slight. The N100 gets super close to the 851N via Toslink, with the edge going towards the Cambridge. The 851N sounds a touch smoother and more natural. Comparing the N100 to the Wim, that goes the complete opposite. The N100 is the smoother and more natural of the two, with the Wim sounding slightly congested. But I can only hear this in a direct comparison. It's a closer difference than what I hear when I compare two DACs at different price points, say one at the $200 range and one at the $400. However, I do hear a difference. I do think that your DAC will matter more. Now things changed when I compare the N100 via USB output compared to the 851N. The N100 instantly gets an upgrade in detail and more energy in its pace. It has a little added sense of intensity and drama. Resolution lovers will really appreciate this. I still do prefer the more relaxed feel of the 851N, but the nice thing about the N100 is that you get to choose whether you want to hear SPDIF or USB. So would I buy this unit? Well, I'm not into Volumio. I prefer navigating through Audervana or Roon. So as is, it's a no for me. And the thing is, it really does sound great. It has great sound quality. But to me, the user experience is more important. Now that would all change if and when the N100 gets Roon support and becomes Roon Ready. Then my answer would be 1000% yes. Or even better, I'd like to see an N100 Lite version without the Volumio license, and maybe just be an AirPlay and Roon endpoint for say $50 less. That would be a definite buy, and I probably would have kept this review sample. And that's all I have for this one. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.